Is this thing fucking on? Let's go, man. Little scalpel out, baby. I'm here to do a little review, man. Let's go. Um, Man, I just want to go over like how I've been trading lately. Um, Pretty much how everything's been going. I haven't really been making a video every single day like I used to, and I think it's fine. It's not like I'm not reviewing. I'm reviewing my things in my own way, etc., etc. But I kind of wanted to make this video as like an overall check-in with myself, and kind of how the market's been doing the past couple weeks. Overall, it's been pretty hot, man, and I think the way that I'm starting to trade a little bit differently. I'm still trading the same strategy, but it's always a constant tweak, a constant revision, and just constant improvement, man. Like every week, I'm watching my tape. I'm watching my trades. I'm studying. I'm learning more and more about like how I can get better, how I can get better entries, how I can have better trade management. Just little things like that. And I think overall, it's putting me in a lot better place most of the time, as long as I follow my rules, as long as I follow my risk management, and I'm kind of doing okay with the psychology of it, which is a whole different story. But you know, let's just kind of jump in. I'm gonna jump into some trades that I saw or that I traded today. Super early on this morning, I was up pretty early, so I did want to kind of catch some of these earlier moves, and we had RANI that came out with some news early this morning, um, and it put in a nice move right here. I missed this first 5 minute pullback, so you can see like the news dropped, it pulled back, it started to reverse off of some lows here. Put in a nice first 5 minute pullback right here. I didn't touch that. But what got me interested is when we set up this, when we broke out of this setup and then we started to pull back again. I wanted to trade that second 5 minute flag. Um, and even though, we didn't end up breaking out for new highs here, I was still able to capitalize a little bit on this trade. Now, the difference is I kind of used to guess on my dips because, of course, I'm looking for this green line, this 5 minute ADMA to hold, because most of the time on stocks that make a big move, they're going to make a nice pullback to this area and then continue higher. And I kind of used to, once it dipped in this area, I'd kind of start getting entries, but I kind of noticed I would get chopped up a lot. And what I started to do was I try to wait, and I've been working on the timing, because once this thing makes a move, this next candle, let's just say in this case, this one pulled back, right? And then it pulled back again. But I used to get in too early. Let's say that I bought a dip off this 1 minute 20 right here, which is about here on the 5 minute chart, anticipating that move higher, but we dip lower. I used to end up getting chopped out on this just for it to reverse in my favor. And that used to be really frustrating. So now what I do is I almost just wait for the buyers to step up off of that level, and then I can join at a little bit higher of an entry, but with higher accuracy, because I can clearly see that buyers stepped up at this level because we have this nice lower wick here, and that's a clear risk off for me to enter off of. So once that thing starts to wick off of that level, and that next 5 minute candle opens and it starts to push, that's when I start slapping the ass now, and I can risk off the low of that pullback, and I have a very clear and well-defined risk to use, and this makes my trades a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier. I'm not guessing the dip. You got to be super patient, and you got to wait for something like this. A nice wick off the 5 minute 8, or just a nice entry signal. You can see here it's clear as day that this came down. It got sucked up by buyers. It tried to push, it pulled back again, and that's a nice entry opportunity. And I didn't really hesitate. I kind of just slapped it, and I got you got a nice 10-cent move here. I had about maybe like 93s, 94s entry. It pushed all the way up to 107. Of course, I wanted to see a breakout for new highs, but this was the second 5 minute pullback. So overall, we didn't get the move I was looking for, but this is still a good opportunity. And again, the risk is so clear right here. So I've noticed, if I am taking unnecessary losses or if I'm struggling, I go back and I look. I'm like, did I have a clear entry signal like this? Um, let's go to a next trade so we can see. Man, there's let's go to SQFT. This thing was a pretty big runner in pre-market this morning, and man, I missed such a nice flag on it. I was really pissed, but um, I guess looking at this one, I guess what had made me throw up some question marks was that right at 4 a.m. this thing spiked from like $5 all the way up to what do we have here, almost $20, and just immediately sold off. So when I seen this thing start to pop closer to 7, I was like, we're kind of in the shadow of this back. We're kind of on the backside of this big move, but. And I see it made this pop here, it pulled back, and I was watching it when we started to make a move again. And man, in hindsight, this was such a freaking nice play. I mean, look at how this thing pulled back. Um, it set up a 3 bar, which is, one candle of pullback, that next candle open, and just starts to rip for new highs. This is called the 5-minute 3 bar pattern. Um, which I'm honestly, I'm not too in tune of how to really get into these with a low risk entry. But look at what we have on the 5-minute here. This thing made that nice move. It pulled back to the 5-minute 8, and it put in on the 5-minute. It put in a nice wick off the 5-minute, and man, so could have put the line here, right? As I'm watching this happen, I see buyers step up around the 5-minute A. You also have VWAP right here, and we can kind of zoom in this area and see that. And I was watching, I'm just like, I wasn't sure, and then this thing pulled back again, and I just, for some reason, didn't get in it, man. And this was a big mistake, I think. I mean, it's clear that it was a big mistake because look at the extreme breakout that we had on this. And what's frustrating is that I ended up taking a trade on it on the second 5-minute pullback, and I ended up losing on it. So where I hesitated here, I ended up trying to trade the second 5-minute pullback here, and I ended up getting chopped up. And the reason is, this trade makes more sense is because you have this level that we want to retest right here. And then, I guess ultimately you have this massive resistance up here. Once you break this high, there's not much resistance because that thing wicked all the way up to $20. There's no resistance in this area right here, so it's kind of like a big empty pocket. So if we are able to retest, once we're pushing, we pull back and we're able to retest this 1332 level, it's kind of like open skies. And that's something that I just had to learn today that I didn't really see in the moment. I mean, look at it. This thing moved up. It pulled back. It was starting to crank, and it pulled back immediately. And we still have room to make a big move, as opposed to look at the move that this thing made on that breakout, and then trying to find another. This was a massive move, and you kind of just lose your odds, and it becomes more unlikely for us to try to take a pullback here and expect even more of a breakout. You know what I mean? So I think that's why ultimately this second pullback right here, I just didn't have the odds in my favor as I did right here, man. This is the lowest risk, and even now I have to try to get myself into the mode of like hitting these no matter what, because this is where my highest risk is. And it's really weird because you'll be most fearful psychologically on this pullback, just being unsure. But for some reason, after you see this thing make this huge breakout, you'll be so much more willing to take this second pullback, and that's backwards, man. So I am, something I need to work on personally is really, even if I'm wrong, man, that's the thing, is like, you gotta try to not be afraid of being wrong, because you're gonna be wrong most of the time anyways. So what's the point of, being fearful when your edge is the highest right here? So, long story short, this was a beautiful play. I missed this, and I ended up taking a loss on this second 5-minute pullback, which maybe if it didn't break out so much, maybe if it just broke out a little bit, pulled back, gave us a nice 5-minute flag, and then we could have tried to test that level, but that thing went straight for it. kind of got rejected and then pulled back, and I'm not surprised that it sold off. So that was a little frustrating that I missed this, but you know, just something. Don't get frustrated that you missed it. Just be there to hit it next time. You know what I mean? Um, let's see what else I can go over. I also want to talk about DARE. Dare. This one was a massive mover. Um, and I got chopped up on this one too, man. I'm not gonna lie. Um, just for it to eventually go in my favor, but you know, the difference here is this thing made such a big move off the rip that you know. Here's the difference, man. Let's just look like right here. This thing, let's say this is where the news dropped, right? It's kind of not doing anything. News drops, you get a little push, a pullback, but this thing ripped so much. Let's say like it just moved out, it just moved up about half of this way up, and then it put in a nice 5 minute pullback. Then you're gonna have such a higher probability trade to get like a nice move like this. But the fact that it made that move right out the gates, this is a big move. You're going to have to expect that this thing is going to make a bigger pullback, and that's exactly what it did. So, me trying to look for like a that first 5 minute pullback into this area and look for a move higher when we're already kind of extended because we just put in this big old leg right here, you know, those are things I'm trying to like realize in real time as well. Like, how big of a move have we just made? Because this thing popped up like 200% in a couple minutes. How much more can we expect that thing to go? Especially in a short period of time. Like, I can't expect one of those nice 2 candle pullbacks and then a breakout for new highs when we just moved up 200%. This thing is most likely going to do this where it consolidates over several minutes, pulls back to that 5 minute 8. It tested over 10 to 15 minutes of price action, and then we end up getting that move for new highs. And I was getting chopped up trying to, I was getting in too early. I was getting impatient, and this was a decent entry right here. Um, Once it did make that first 1 minute 20 tap right here, that candle closed. It tried to push and then it pulled back again. This was nice ads right here, and I was able to make a little bit on that. But ultimately we want that move for new highs. We don't want to just this little scalp right here. Um, I was ultimately looking for this push for new highs. And this thing just needed a lot more time, and I'm not surprised because looking back at it, this thing made such a big move that it needed more time to cool off, and just needed more time to consolidate before it ended up testing new highs. So I was kind of forcing it. I forced it again here. Um, I saw it put in this dip right here, start to reverse, and then once it dipped again, I got it looking for that move. I got chopped out. Then it bounced off this level. I kind of bought another dip, got chopped out, and then it ended up going my favor. So, it's just one of those things, I think the biggest missed opportunity of the day was this 5 minute setup on SQFT. And again, my telltale sign was, I was patient and waited for that thing to tap the 5 minute 8, kind of give us a nice wick. And as soon as this candle opens right here and starts to push green, I think that's a better place for you to start getting your entries, and then you can risk off the low of this pullback. For some reason, I just didn't take the trade, man, and it went without me. And that's something that I just got to learn how to get into the process of executing on when my probability is the highest, when my setup's there, as opposed to watching my setup happen without me, and then I look for something on this backside. It's no bueno. But yeah, just a little check-in. Some great plays over the past couple weeks. I'm just constantly learning. I'm constantly studying. I'm constantly trying to improve and get better every day. And, I'm going to keep trading the same setup. Yeah, we're just going to keep hammering it, man. That's all I got for right now. I'll catch you next time. Peace.